I'd say for most gamers, given the option, wireless headsets are more convenient in the long run. You can freely move around a space without worrying about unplugging your cord and never have to worry about cable noise. Remembering to charge them frequently though can sometimes cause issues. The Roccat Syn Max Air has an elegant solution with this sizable RGB wielding charging dock that will top off the headset when not in use. Combined with AMO RGB on the headset, deep audio customization, and some upgraded ear cushions that look familiar, the $250 Roccat Syn Max Air headset has a lot to offer, but is it worth that price? Well, let's dive in and take a closer look and see how it performs. Hey everyone, I'm Jordan with 9to5 Toys. Today we have the Roccat Syn Max Air. Now for this headset, Roccat has gone pretty much all out. I'd say the only feature that's lacking here when compared to other high-end gaming headsets is ANC. You won't find that on this headset. But adding ANC typically drives the price point up quite high. You look at the Sony InZone H9 and the SteelSeries Arctis Nova Pro Wireless, and those are some pretty expensive headsets coming in at $300 and $350 respectively. But for $250 with the Syn Max Air, you're getting this wireless gaming headset. You are getting simultaneous Bluetooth compatibility, so you can listen to something on your phone or use Discord or some other service on there at the same time when you are gaming with this headset. And it also has that charging dock, which is another really nice handy feature for this headset. And Roccat is a part of Turtle Beach's ecosystem, so that means with audio customization we have superhuman hearing mode, which is actually a very nice mode that I enjoy usually when I am gaming on a console with some of the Turtle Beach headsets. And we'll talk more about the audio customization here in just a little bit later. Now this headset has been out for a few weeks, but I timed my review to wait until the software was actually functioning almost perfectly. They had a bit of a driver issue when this was first released, so you couldn't do any of the EQ audio customizations. And pretty much everything is working now. The only thing that's not working is you can't do the chat EQ customization. So that's the only feature, but we'll go over everything else in the Swarm app a little bit later on. Alright, so diving into the headset, first off, let's talk about the design. And visually, this new Max Air is nearly identical to the older Syn Pro Air. The large ear cups offer plenty of room for comfort, and the shelves have the translucent honeycomb design near the bottom that allow Rockat's AMO RGB to shine through. We've seen this on the Syn Pro Air as well as a lot of their mice. The flip-to-mute microphone can also be removed, and a plastic plug is included to protect the port. While maybe not as elegant of a solution as the removable microphones from the EPOS headsets, this does clean up the shape when the mic isn't needed. And also, the charging dock is a great way to ensure that the headset is always topped off when not in use. An AMO RGB ring around the base adds color to a gaming setup. In the little divots that hold the headset vertical here are contacts on the left ear cup for charging. And on the bottom are two USB-C ports. One is intended for a cable to connect the base to a PC, and the other as a charging cable, with cables included of course. While the headset has plenty of audio customization options, the physical controls on here are kept pretty simple. On the left ear cup is the removable flip-to-mute mic, a volume dial, and the power button. Over on the right ear cup is a Bluetooth button and an additional customizable dial. By default, this dial on the right ear cup controls mic monitoring level, but it can also be changed to adjust settings like superhuman hearing volume, a bass boost volume, or mic volume, and there's some other options in there we'll take a look at in the software. And moving on to comfort, the Roccat Syn Max Air kind of feels like a more grown-up version of the Turtle Beach Stealth 700 series. And what I mean by that is these ear pads are pretty much identical to what we have on there. So they're their cooling gel ear pads, which actually, feel really nice when you are wearing them. They don't get as hot as some other competitors. And they feature that kind of same two-tone material where it's kind of like a leatherette on the outside and then a softer fabric that actually rests up against your head. And in my opinion, these ear cups are great. There is plenty of padding in here. They're nice and deep, which allows plenty of room for, even my ears, which I feel like I complain about quite frequently with some gaming headsets where there's not enough room in there and it feels like my ears always press against the driver cover. That is not the case with these. I've found there to be plenty of room in here. Found this to be a very comfortable headset. And it also appears to have less clamping force than what the Stealth series does from Turtle Beach, which also helps with more extended gameplay. It makes it a little bit more comfortable for me. And of course, you've got your headband up here that's adjustable. The sizing adjustment on the side is interesting. There's not a whole lot of adjustability in there, but it is enough to make sure that, you get a good fit on your head. It fits me really well. It doesn't seem like it's made for, I guess, smaller heads like some of the Turtle Beach Stealth Series headsets can sometimes feel like. So this just kind of feels like a more grown-up version. All right, and now let's move on to how do they sound. So it is also using some similar technology found in some Turtle Beach headsets. We have the 50mm drivers delivering the standard 20 to 20,000 hertz frequency response. And in the stock form, I'd say that the sound is almost exactly what you would expect from a Turtle Beach gaming headset. There's a lot of punch in there, a lot of impact, but also at the same time, it's pretty nice on the high end for clarity for gaming and picking up audio cues as well. And that is the stock form. And when you actually dive into the EQ, you can see that they have a little bit of the lower frequencies boosted a little bit in that stock form. So for both music and games where you want something to be pretty natural, maybe a little bit more immersive, you kind of want the low end and the high end, I do think that this sounds really great. It's a lot of fun for playing, story-based games and also for listening to music as well. It's maybe not quite as detail-driven as what the EPOS headsets are. I'd say it's a little bit easier to pick out, the really fine details in there, but this is a very fun sound signature that I enjoyed when gaming. Stereo positioning and separation are also very impressive on the Syn Max Air. When listening to cluttered metal tracks like Missed by Protest the Hero, one of my favorites to test headphones and headsets, it's very easy to pick out, the different guitars on left and right and hear the individual lines and figure out what they are doing, which is always kind of my test to make sure that, these have enough clarity for figuring out what's going on either side of the headset. And that also translates well into gaming as well. Being able to pick out, what direction different audio cues are coming from is critical. So I think that this does a pretty good job of separating those so you can figure out where things are coming from. But where things start to get a lot more interesting is in the Roccat Swarm app. So let's hop over to the PC and we'll dive through and take a look at all the different settings that are available here. All right, so here we are within the Roccat Swarm app. And as you can see, there are a lot of different tweaks we can make here. First off, there is a pinned section. So if there are different things from these different tabs up top that you want to make very easy to find and make adjustments to, you can basically hit this little pin in each upper right corner and pin that to this section. So for instance, we'll pin this and now we can see that it is up here as well. So that's really handy to quickly find different settings. So actually moving through everything, we'll start in the settings tab. You can see there is the game audio output. So over we have this master volume level, which you can adjust. And then we also have boosts for game treble boost, game bass boost, a dialogue level, which kind of just brings up the mids where you would hear a little bit more dialogue in game, and then a channel mix between game and chat. So some very handy controls there. Easy enough to, enable everything and adjust it in here. And on that note, we also have different profiles down here along the bottom. So if you wanted to set one up where you want to hear dialogue a little bit more, you can make those adjustments in here and then kind of save it. And then, if you want to go back to a different gaming thing, you can do that by clicking down the different profile at the bottom. So you can basically just save these 5 different profiles and then swap between them depending on, what sort of game or, media you are viewing. All right, and moving on, we have, of course, battery status, and this is showing us 75% battery left, and it's estimating 10 hours left on that. I think the total battery time on here is about 16 hours, which, compared to the HyperX Cloud Alpha Wireless at 300, 16 doesn't seem like a whole lot, but at the same time, that charging dock makes it very easy to just, as soon as you take it off, you set it down and recharge it, and then it's good to go again. And moving on down, we have additional settings for Spatializer. This does have a spatial audio mode, which you can turn on. And here you can see like one of the first warnings where this chat enhancement is unavailable because of a Windows update. So unfortunately, we can't do anything with that. But you can change the Waves 3D mode for this for the spatial audio. Typically, I don't end up using spatial audio modes. I don't really enjoy the sound and how it, affects it. Definitely for music and usually for gaming, I don't find it making much of a difference either. And moving on, we have, of course, superhuman hearing mode. So here you can, toggle it on and off. You can adjust the volume of it, which is basically just how much of the superhuman hearing mode you want in your game. And then there are also 3 different modes. We have the legacy, a footsteps boost, which kind of does higher frequencies, and gunshot boost, which does more kind of mid-range frequencies. And personally, like pretty much about 25-30% is as much as I would ever turn this up. All the way up to 100 is pretty intense when you are gaming. I guess for me, when I was playing Battlefield 2042, it was just way too overwhelming. You know, you hear everything that's going on very loud, which can be good in some games, you know, like Battle Royale, where maybe it's not quite as hectic and crazy. But in something where there's a lot more going on, that was just a little bit too overwhelming for me. So I kind of like it a little bit lower, like here. And then I do actually end up using that quite a bit when I am gaming. And then, of course, we have mic settings. We have the overall mic volume, mic monitoring, and then noise gate, which actually I think works pretty well in this situation. So I'm going to play around with that a little bit right now so you can hear what kind of adjustments that makes. And another note, we are recording on the microphone from the Roccat Syn Max Air, so this is what the headset sounds like. There are some adjustments we can make, which we will dive into. But first off here, let's take a look at the noise gate. So this is with it turned off. I'm going to tap on my keyboard a little bit in the background, so you can hear how that sounds, you know, without any noise gate. And then I'm going to turn it on, and we'll put it at like 50% here, so you can hear how that sounds. Keyboard is the same distance away. Tapping around on it, and I actually found that I could turn the noise gate up to like 90%, I'd say, and I think the microphone still sounds pretty good, and it knocks out a lot of the background keyboard noise. So we'll do that same test here. And from what I can tell watching the waveform in Audition, it looks like it's knocking out a lot of the keyboard when I stop talking. So that's very handy if you do have a loud background and you want to kind of knock some of that out. And then, of course, we have reset settings, Windows settings, and input settings. And the input settings, this is where you can customize the function of that dial on the right ear cup. So by default, it's mic monitoring level. You can change it to adjust a lot of different things like superhuman hearing, volume, dialogue level, microphone volume, noise gate level. So if you would rather have, you know, a quick adjustment for something else rather than mic monitoring, you can do that very easily with that dial. All right, so now let's move on to the audio tab, and here's where we see the 10-band equalizer, where you can make a lot of adjustments to the audio. There are 10 bands. You can boost or cut by up to 15 decibels. You can make some pretty big changes on here. And this mode, where it is right now, this is the default mode. This is what it comes in. I was kind of talking about it has that kind of impactful low end because it has been boosted by default. And then also has a little bit on the high end as well, where the mids have been scooped out a little bit lower than 0. So this is the default mode. You can see on the bottom, they do have a lot of different settings on here. Actually, it's kind of funny. If you click on balanced, you can see it's almost the opposite of what that default mode was, where it kind of scoops out some of those lower frequencies, leaves the mids pretty much, you know, right at 0, and then some of the higher frequencies kind of brings down as well. So this is a little bit more like it's not as big and boomy as the stock sound, a little bit more balanced, a little bit more detail oriented. But of course, you can make all of your own adjustments in here and play around with everything and see how they sound, and really just dial in, you know, your perfect sound. And with the different profiles, it's easy enough to have something set and then just swap between those so that, you know, it's ready to go whatever you're doing. So the other adjustments in here, we have microphone EQ in here. So in my testing, it sounds a little bit flat, the microphone, which is, you know, pretty expected out of a lot of gaming headset microphones. But you can make some adjustments, and I'm going to do that here. You know, I can't necessarily hear what changes it's making with the mic monitoring, but it should be making some adjustments for you. And kind of bringing up the low end, give a little more presence to it, and then maybe bring up the high just a little bit as well. So very easy to make some adjustments there, change how the microphone sounds if you do want to dial in a different sound. So that is the audio tab. And of course, you can make the game changes, the mic changes. Eventually, I assume you'll be able to make the chat changes as well. So that's where you can actually change the sound of the chat coming through if you want to. And then lastly, we have the illumination tab where you can change the different settings for speed, brightness, and they have their AMO intelligent lighting system, or you can do, you know, different colors here for fully lit, heartbeat, or breathing, kind of just dial in whatever colors you want there. So a lot of different functionality with color as well. All right, well, wrapping up here, you know, overall, this is a solid gaming headset at $250. It's a pretty pricey gaming headset. What you're getting for that, obviously, is the charging dock, which is a pretty big bonus. sitting over here right there. That looks really nice, and it's handy just to be able to set this down and charge it when you are done with it. You don't have to fiddle with any cables or anything like that. It's all just ready to go. You're also getting that really deep audio customization, which I really enjoy from these Roccat headsets. There's a lot you can do in there to dial in the sound exactly for how you want it, and for whether or not you're listening to music or playing games or watching movies. It's just nice to be able to adjust things in there. This does have Bluetooth, so you can use it with mobile devices. You can plug it into, you can use it on your PlayStation, although you won't have the same audio customization available there, which is a little unfortunate. It'd be nice to see a little bit more cross-platform compatibility here, you know, considering the price point of this thing, but this is, I would say, focused more on PC gaming. I also think that these ear cups, these ear cushions are a nice upgrade over the more affordable Roccat Syn Pro Air. You know, that's a $150 headset, so for $100 more, you can get, you know, these upgrades on here, which you have to kind of determine if you need Bluetooth, if you need the charging dock, and if you want a little bit more comfort with these ear pads. If it's worth it to you, then this headset's great. If it's not worth it to you, then maybe look at something like the Roccat Syn Pro Air. All right, well, that's going to do it for our review of the Roccat Syn Max Air. Let us know what you think about it down in the comments below. For some other videos to watch, check out our review of the Syn Pro Air, as well as our most recent video. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up so others can find it easier, and consider subscribing. This is Jordan with 9to5 Toys.